What is up, guys? Minish1 here. I'm doing a VOD review today to talk to you guys about Summon Airy on Singed and why I think it is quite good right now, and why I think that you should try it out as well. So this is a VOD review. I haven't done one of these in a long time, but the rune setup here is Summon Airy, Nimbus Cloak, Celerity, Scorch, and then Cheap Shot, Relentless Hunter as my secondaries, and I'm going AP, Move Speed Shard, and Tenacity Shard. I already talked about the movement speed shards and tenacity shards on Singed in previous videos in the last few days, so I won't talk too much about that, but basically I think movement speed's really good and tenacity is situational. Relentless Hunter I made a video about as well. I believe it was yesterday, where I talked about how I really love this rune on Singed right now, especially with the synergy that it has with movement speed in general, which is quite nice. Alt Hunter just a bit less important if you're running Domination secondary or primary, just because there's less ability haste in the game, so I'm not finding Alt Hunter to be quite as important these days, which I think is quite good, because I think that this rune feels better anyways. But as you can see from these trades against the Trundle, my rune setup, Summon Airy, Scorch, Cheap Shot, is actually providing me quite a bit of damage here. I'm poking him super hard. Just in those few trades alone, let's go ahead and jump back a bit actually, so I can show you a bit more of these trades. But just in these trades alone, I'm kind of chunking them super hard. My Summon Area is going to have done 34 damage so far, 43 damage so far, 45 on Scorch, and then Cheap Shot is 12 right here. Just chunking a bit every single time we trade. Normally, even with Conqueror, these trades are not easy for Singed. So why am I moving off of Conqueror versus melee matchups? Personally, I think that Conqueror is just a bit weaker now because of the Poison Trail Q nerf that happened. It went from 0.9 to 0.8. So AP is less rewarding on Singed, just a little bit. Not much, but that little bit does matter. Look at that chunk again. 24 damage on Cheap Shot, 77 on Scorch, and Summon Airy is 84. But because ability power is a bit less important on Singed due to the Q nerf, you can get away with running an even more early game oriented setup. Because on Singed, and then just Ghost Ignite, Flash, Summon Airy, Scorch for the kill, 94 damage on Scorch, 96 on Summon Airy, and 38 on Cheap Shot. So I've done almost 120 damage from just runes alone, which is, or sorry, almost 220 damage in those first few trades before my first recall from runes alone, which is absolutely crazy. That's more damage definitely than Conqueror would provide, at least early in the game. And Conqueror is something that we would always take on Singed versus melee champions to have a fighting chance in the early game, because Conqueror was just better than the alternative, which was always Summon Airy for early game dominance on Singed. And then with Conqueror being nerfed on Singed because of the Q nerf, and because Conqueror itself was also nerfed in patch 1320, it went from giving, I believe, 54 total AP at 18 to 45. It gives less AP, AP itself gives less value. Legend Tenacity is also less important now, just because we have Tenacity in Shards, so we're doing a little bit of lane freeze here. Trying to see if I can force Tunnel 2, make a bad decision, just gonna keep the wave here as long as I can. He's in a bad spot, his TP is down. I know I can out-trade him right now as well. He also got super greedy and went for a cull buy here, whereas I went for boots, Hamtome, and refill, which is a much more reasonable buy for this point in the lane for me. But because it's just a bit less efficient on Singed to have Conqueror, to have AP, amongst other reasons, I think that going a hyper early game focused setup like Summon Airy, Scorch, Cheap Shot is potentially very good, because having offensive power on Singed in the early game prevents you from getting bullied by matchups which you really shouldn't be getting bullied by, but we have been bullied by in the past because it's just a lack of early game options, right? Examples like this include Camille, Fiora, Trundle, things like that, which melee matchups that really should not be bullying you, but because Singed just lacks early game power, in general, they end up fighting you and winning, right? So here is another trade coming in for me really hard, sorry. I get in front of the Trundle, he pops his Ghost, but because I have just such a better positioning on him, the lane freeze, he just runs to the wall. I donate the kill to Kindred, gold super valuable on Kindred, obviously. He has no TP, push the wave in. So far, Summon Airy has done 174, Scorch has done 129, and Cheap Shot is 91 damage so far. So quite a bit of damage coming out from runes here. I know you're going to be thinking, Minishcap, why was Conqueror considered an early game run on Singed? Because later in the game, Singed values other things such as mobility. And later in the game, fights don't last long enough, really, for Conqueror to be super useful. And that's kind of always been the case with Singed, as a Conqueror, because fights last longest in the early game. You would use it to get AP over the course of a long fight, and then kind of fight your way out of bad situations with Conqueror that way, right? Also, Trundle at this point in this game went mid, and he sort of was raging super hard because I had the wave froze on him, then we killed him, and he's having a really bad time right now, and I see him in mid, and Karma's harassing him super hard, so I go back top, I'm gonna push here. And just put him in a really bad spot here. I see him walk back down, so now I start pushing the wave in, and they're still fighting over there, so with that knowledge, I'm clearing this wave as I wait to go move over here, because I see Karma fighting them over here. I should have maybe been here sooner, but I did deny him minion wave by doing this, because this wave will push in. I'm actually going to walk down here. I see Echo. I have Ignite back up. Fling Ignite. Summon Eerie Scorch, doing more damage here again. Gets the kill. Then I run Kenna down here with some more Summon Eerie and Scorch procs. Grab this plant. Cheap shot proc there as well, and she just drops here. Summon Eerie for the kill. I walked a bit too close to Trundle there, I ended up dying to Trundle, but the rune value is just so nice for the early game, especially in these early game fights in this season, where we're going to be focusing on fighting around grubs. Having early game damage is very nice. And on Singed, you're using early damage as a tool to avoid getting bullied by matchups that are good at bullying Singed, right? So again, Camille, Fiora, Trundle, Jax is a good example where this would be quite good against him. There's matchups that like trade really short and really hard and really fast. Because Aerie is all about trading short, hard, and fast, right? Whereas Conqueror, yeah, it gave you damage in trades, but it was more about taking extended duration trades. And the reason why it was better before is it just gave you more value than this. But now with the value of Conqueror being down, due to reasons I mentioned before, this is a much more viable alternative now, in my opinion. Also, look at the runes value here so far. 303 damage on Summon Aerie, 185 on Scorch, and 131 on Cheap Shot. I know you're thinking as well, Minish Cap, these runes will get outscaled. Yes, they will get outscaled. That's not the point. Part of the reason why also these runes used to not be as good on Singed in the past, especially last season, was because our items just weren't as good last season. I know you've heard me talk about this over and over before. Minish Cap, you know, items, we get it, items are better now, but the items of a champion can change what runes you are able to take, as well as other extraneous factors, right? Because our items scale better now, we're less punished for going an early game focused rune setup like this, because our items will help carry our power level throughout the later stages of the game. Whereas before, we would be hyper reliant on especially Last Stand for damage output when running Conqueror in the later parts of the game, because Demonic Embrace and Radiant Virtue and Rod of Ages and all these other Rock of All things like that in season 11, 12, 13 just did not give enough damage. But now that our items, we have Leandries, we have Riftmaker, we have Crypt Bloom, we have Shadow Flame, like all these things, right? Cosmic Drive, right? All these things, they provide so much value to Singed as the game goes on in terms of damage, that I think it's very okay to like take more early game focused setups, because guess what, like your items will help make you the scaling monster that you need to be, while having a little bit more agency in the early game in order to not get completely ran over in lanes, right? Which is good. So it kind of just makes you a bit more of a all-around champion. He pillared the minions, and that one ran around the jungle, which is kind of hilarious. But yeah, Relentless Hunter as well, to pair with the movement speed charge. It's good from point A to B super fast. Just a good setup overall. The early game power of this is quite nice. Again, I'm 3-1-1 so far this game. This is 323 damage on Aerie, 204 on Scorch, and 154 on Cheap Shot. So out of these three runes, the one that scales the best is actually Cheap Shot. It gives 45 true damage per tick of it at level 18. So if you have Rylai's, you're going to perma-stack this, or perma-tick that on your Q, because your Q will apply Rylai's slow. Summon Aerie is the next worst in terms of scaling. It has an AP ratio on it. It really doesn't matter at all. This is definitely an early game focused rune. A little bit of poke that you get is nice, but yeah, mostly for the early game. The one that scales the worst, definitely, you guessed it, is Scorch, because Scorch is just... it's meant for lane. That's all this rune is meant to do. I believe I think it's at 10. I'm not sure. No, I think it's at 20 minutes, actually. On 20 minutes, I believe Gathering Storm does outscale this rune in terms of damage output. The thing about Scorch, though, is Scorch does not help you against the minions, and whenever they say 20 minutes is all it takes for Gathering Storm to outscale, it's not considering that Gathering Storm also gives you damage to minions at 10 minutes when you get 8 AP from it. So I think it actually kind of gets outscaled closer to about 15 minutes by Gathering Storm. That being said, it's not like Scorch is bad on Singed because of the reason I mentioned earlier where, you know, say for example you're playing against Camille, right? And Camille wants to buy a Sheen. Well, Camille might play a little bit defensively against Singed until she has that Sheen, and then she wants to be aggressive. Well, with Summon, Aerie, Scorch, and Cheap Shot, you can have the option of fighting back in the early game against that Sheen power spike from having your runes, because normally you'd get decimated on that with any other rune setup, and you would lose trades, and you have to give it prio in your lane. Then you wouldn't be able to do what Singed wants to do, which is get prio, proxy wave, secure jungle invades, you know, go for grubs, fight on grubs, things like that, because you would just be stuck getting bullied by the enemy laner who got, the enemy healer who got Sheen, right? With a setup like this, though, you can extend that prio a bit longer until these AD bruisers start to get items that they'll actually be able to fight you with, right? Which is good. That's a good thing. It gives you early game power, and then your items give you late game power, right? You also alternatively have the option of just putting all of your gold all of your rune setup into late game if you want to. I don't think it's quite as necessary now to do that. Like, for example, Ultimate Hunter is definitely more of like a late game oriented rune. I don't think you need to do it as much anymore, just because for that rune in particular, the level of ability haste in the game is down in general. At this point in the VOD, me and Funnel kind of just look at each other while our team fights for a while, so be ready for that. But just poking a little bit here and there, seeing what I can do. I have a CS lead. I've secured grubs for my team. I believe I think we have 4 grubs. The replay does not actually show how many grubs we have, but we have 4 grubs and they have 2, I believe, if I recall correctly. But I'm just stronger than Trundle at this point in the game, and because my items actually scale now, I'm able to fight him at later stages of the game if I need to. I probably won't. I forget exactly what happened in this spot. I think I do actually fight him quite a bit, actually, in this game. But because my items scale now and I have the confidence in them, I'm able to, you know, take this type of play where I don't have to just leave my lane constantly and try to win the game through roaming, through ganking, through cheesing, and then I make a wrong move and Trundle takes my tier 3 tower, right? Because Trundle pushes so fast, you know? Just put my ult there to see if I can fight, see what I can do, if I can get any kills or anything like that. I could not, unfortunately, because I believe he just sustained off the wave. Here, though, Fling, Aerie, Ignite, and then Aerie again for the last. Let's see how much damage this did. So going into that trade, you can see he is about 1350 HP, or 1400 HP even. We'll say 1400, yeah. So after this trade, he backs off, I back off. With a combination of Leandries and Summon Aerie just popping in with Scorch and everything, he is down to 450 HP, which is quite low. 460 now after the regen, but yeah, it's just a lot of damage. You have a little bit of damage on Leandries, you have damage on Cheap Shot, damage on Scorch, damage on Aerie. Everything's doing damage. It helps you. So like even if the runes don't scale that well, besides Cheap Shot, which scales pretty well actually, you're able to make it work, right? Because your items give you value, so works out. I kind of messed up here. I should have walked back to my turret. I know I should have walked back to my turret, but even look at the Kiana, who is like chasing a 1 HP Singe. Even like she has so much trouble securing the kill on me, right? Which is kind of hilarious. You'd think it'd be easier for her, but I'm just doing so much damage to her. In fact, let's see. I almost killed her. She's at 450 HP. Echo's at 550. So even though she came top to try and kill me, she did get an assist, but look how much time I wasted, and she has to recall now. And Karma gets mid to her, right? So like I'm putting out so much pressure just from being a combat threat, which is cool. Like that's something that Singe has not been able to do for a long time now. In the early game. And don't get me wrong, right? It's not like this setup or any setup on Singe makes you like the most dominant early game champion ever. That's just not what Singed is. Singed is very much a scale the team fight champion. That's what he does. His 1v1 is never going to be the best. It's not even close to the best. Singed actually only has 2 or 3 lanes in the entire game where he's ahead at 15 minutes in terms of gold on average. So he's definitely not a strong late game champion. He has mostly losing matchups, almost completely losing matchups actually, according to the stats. You can look at that up on leagueofgraphs.com. But the champion in my opinion, maybe before this season was a little bit too weak early game with a little bit too little agency in the early game. Now, you know, with the inclusion of Grubs, gives agency to top side. I see Echo over here on Herald. I'm gonna go ahead and fight him a bit. Couldn't get him. Back off, no worries. Summon Airy and Leandry's just doing so much work in terms of damage, though. And Scorch, obviously. And Cheap Shot, but... Grubs gives agency to the top side. Grubs spawn number 2. Agency to the top side. Having Prio for your jungler to come top lane gives agency to the top side. Jungle's coming top side in general gives agency to the top side because there are more opportunities for you to fight, more opportunities for you to do things, right? So I ult and I fight this guy. He has Grievous Wounds on him, but then he ults me and clears the wave and he heals like his entire health bar, which is kind of nuts. And this is what I'm saying, right? So like, Bruisers were kind of always able to do this against Singed, especially ones that focus on getting Ravenous Hydra. But, right, I delayed him from doing this to me for a very long time and secured a lead for myself. My tower did drop because I, you know, had a poor fight earlier, but where I died to the Kiana and Echo. But that being said, like, I still, even though he is like the Trundle is also scaling, I still have so much value that I've given to myself in this lane that I'm not worried because I know, hey, eventually I will be able to fight him again because, you know, Singed scales better now with better items, that it's okay if he takes my turret, it's okay if he bullies me for now because I'll just be better than him later. And I've helped my team secure 4 Grubs. I've helped my counter get fed. So I've set my team up for success here, right? Here's Trundle again, we're just fighting. Look at all the damage, like you just do so much damage that I'm not used to doing on Singed because we have actual items now which are good. He goes away, no worries, walk around the turret, walk around the wall, sorry, and then just take this wave. But yeah, I think you guys should try this setup out. I think you guys will like it. It is also, I will say straight up, Scorch, Summon Airy, and Cheap Shot is easier to play than Conqueror because Conqueror requires you to actually like auto attack and think about like how long you can be in a fight for. With Scorch, Summon Airy, Relentless Hunter, or sorry, Scorch, Summon Airy, and Cheap Shot, you literally are just playing Singed like normal, and your poison happens to do a bit more damage because you're smacking him with Scorch, smacking him with Airy. Here I am taking this turret as I see Kindred invading. I want to get the turret if I can, because if I go to this fight and it doesn't work out, then I don't get either. Because she ults, I walk over here, Ignite Echo. Fun fact, Ignite is applying my summon area there, which is hilarious. And I walk over and fling the Trundle as well. What I want to find out though is the Ignite proccing Leandry's. I don't believe it is. I think just the Ignite plus Scorch, or sorry, Ignite plus Airy killed him. Alright, let's see. I believe no Leandry's here, right? Nope, no Leandry's, but the fact that it procs Airy is still pretty hilarious, and then he dies. Fling Trundle over. Nice set of kills. Here comes Lucian. Walk up. Fling him for the harass, and then just look at the damage coming out. You want to try and make sure that you walk back into your Airy a little bit near the end of a trade if they're still in poison, especially so you can catch it and then it hits them one more time. So far this game, Airy 922 damage, Scorch 439, Cheap Shot 462. Once I get rallies eventually this game, Cheap Shot will proc on cooldown basically if they're in poison. You can go, in fact I recommend with this setup you go rally second. I'm just going Cosmic Drive second because I think the item is super fun. And good with Relentless Hunter, but again, I generally recommend that you instead go Leandry's and a Rally second just because Cheap Shot is better synergy with Rallies, and the damage it helps your damage scale because Cheap Shot is true damage, and if you do it on cooldown, it actually is scaling quite decently, so there you go. Running back towards top here. I see Kiana. I'm actually not afraid of her at all, even if she has First Strike. Now I see Trundle on bot side, so I'm going to go ahead and recall for Trundle. Because Trundle, even though it is no longer Season 13, still pushes like an absolute demon. The benefit, though, or I guess the benefit of it being Season 14 is that his Hull Breaker is heavily nerfed, right? So I'm running bottom here. I think I actually popped my ult here because I was afraid of him just all-in the turret. I don't actually know where he went here. He's actually recalling here, so he's scared of me, which is good. I thought he would just all-in for the turret and try and kill it while I'm here, because sometimes Trundles are psychos and do that. But he did not, so I am down on ultimate here, but my ult cooldown is pretty low because of Cosmic Drive. It is going to be, what is it, 88 seconds here, which is not terrible. I misclick these portals so much, by the way. That's what you just watched right there. Sometimes they're just hard to click on. Secure this for Kindred. Run back towards bottom. And I know that even though I spent my ultimate, it is up pretty soon because Cosmic Drive is the single highest ability haste item in the entire game, which is kind of cool. He used to be Spear of Shojin. I know Spear of Shojin is actually still pretty high up there, but... Alright, at this point, I'm trying to push bot tier 1, but I see Trundle show up top lane, so I'm going to go ahead and recall as fast as I can to go deal with Trundle. You don't want to give him any sort of freedom to push if you can avoid it. Very important to make sure that you keep these split pushes under check. Damage check on runes, summon Area 922, Scorch 439, and Cheap Shot 462, so about the same as before. Here's Trundle. Just walk up to make sure that he can't get away from me. Whenever he starts hugging the left side of the lane here near the wall, I move towards the center, and that way I can cut him off because I'm just straight up faster than him. Just straight up faster than him. So here, just trying to keep him in poison control so he's not healing too much whenever he autos me and Qs me and stuff like that. Here he ults me, so I go ahead and ignite him to try and counteract some of the healing customers are. Not that because I need the Grievous wounds, but because it gives extra damage, and I already have Grievous wounds on him, but just damage counters healing.
Rampage.
A general tenet of League of Legends is that damage counters healing. Damage counters everything, because if you kill something, they can't counterplay you. Alright, so here I'm moving behind his turret. My Kindred wants to do Baron, but I actually cannot because I don't have enough HP, and my Karma's dead, and Draven's not there. So better for me to actually move up here and pressure this tier 2 turret. Because we have 4 Void Grubs, I do decent damage to turrets, which is awesome. Man, that objective is just so much fun. I love it so much. I do feel like top laners who can't contest Grubs early on have some problems now in Season 14, just because if your champion can't contest Grubs early, then your champion's kind of useless, but... or at least like that forces your jungler to play for bot side, which removes agency from you. But if your champion can fight over Grubs, I think you're having a fun time right now in top lane. It's good. Most games, for whatever reason, still feel like they're decided by bot side. You know, one bot lane usually goes like 10 kills, and the other bot lane usually goes like 15 deaths, but the games that aren't like that feel great. So here, just moved over to Dragon because I wanted my team to secure Dragon. I would be there if they needed me. Here's Trundle bot side. He's getting ganked by my team, which is... Oh, whoops. I messed up. They killed him, which is cool. Walking down there just in case he turns it. I see in mid that these guys are fighting, so Rakan engages on Soraka. I'm able to be here very quickly, by the way, because of Relentless Hunter. Fling her, run through their team. As you can see with Rylai's, the cheap shot is applying on cooldown, and that is a lot of damage. That is absolutely no joke in terms of damage. So it is doing 39 true damage per tick right now, or per proc. And when they're in Rylai's, it will proc immediately on cooldown because Poison Trail ticks 8 times per second, 8 mini ticks per second. And then as soon as the cooldown of Cheap Shot hits, at one of those ticks procs, the rune goes off instantly. Which is very dope. Alright, I see Kindred and Draven doing Baron. They wanted me to go there before I recalled, but I didn't have the health. Now I'm coming back over because they are swapping tanks on Baron, which is good. We see a TP coming in, but I'm not afraid. I decided to go ahead and just force this with them. It regens quite a bit of HP, but I am just kind of a monster right now, honestly. Like, it's hard for them to deal with me at any point. Alright, I see Trundle pushing bottom, but I have Baron empowered recall, so I recall. Then first thing I do is run straight to bottom because I'm not giving this guy a chance to split push. He actually ends up backing off to do this camp over here. I want to see how close I was to getting him here because I know he's over here. Alright, so I walk over. I actually don't see him here in Fog of War, by the way, because I'm moving here and he's over here. So I just barely missed him, but I guess he was a decent amount faster, so no worries. Then he recalls in the bush. But I have Baron. I have Liandry's Cosmic Rylai, so I'm really strong on level 16. He's level 13. Do I have 5-stack Relentless? I do have 5-stack Relentless, so out of combat, I'm going to be stupidly fast. Alright, let's see. 5-stack Relentless, how fast am I out of combat? 477 move speed out of combat. I see Trundle top lane, recall immediately, just walk up there. But by the time I get there, they have all, or by the time I recall, they've already FF, so there's that. Fun little early pressure build. 1232 area damage, 524 Scorch, 700, we'll call it 691, 700 cheap shot damage. Very nice. And because I know you guys want to see this, here is the post-game chart, the post-game graphs. I actually was 6-2 and 5, highest damage of the game, which is pretty wild considering it's early game runes. But like I said, your items help you scale, so why not try it? And yeah, Conqueror I think is a little bit weaker. Runes that are stronger on Singed than Conqueror right now, in my opinion, are going to be Phase Rush, Predator, Aftershock, Summon Airy. I think all of these are probably a bit better because of all of the direct and indirect nerfs that Conqueror has eaten. And less importance on Legend Tenacity because we have Tenacity in our Shard now. So yeah, pretty decent. What do you guys think? Are you gonna try this one? I think it's a pretty good idea, personally. Sorry for the just kind of stream of thought, like non-stop yapping video, I guess. But I haven't done one of these in a long time where I just look at a VOD and just kind of explain my thought process behind things. I don't really explain the game thought process that much, I guess, but more so just like the thought process behind like the macro ideas behind the game, the tertiary decisions, the out-of-game decisions, right? But still something worth putting out there, I think. I think it'll be a helpful video for at least some of you. That being said, thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. I'll catch you in the next one. Mwah. Peace, guys.